Hello everyone, and welcome back to a brand new game of Broken Arrow. So the first thing we're going to do in this match is put down a Patriot. Of course, our air tax, which must be paid at the beginning of every match. Always. First thing. Second, we are going to put down a logistical LAV. This is going to help keep those Patriots supplied. Third thing we're going to want to do is get our own aerial fighters in here, including Harriers. We are now running a new deck, which is incredibly aerial-centric. So it is rather imperative that we do get these things in there and running as soon as possible.
Already there.
Specifically the Patriots, which are going to help us keep the skies secure while our other units move in. We can also take and attack them. And our Harrier is going to want to move in and attack the IL-76MD there, because it is going to be a priority target. Unfortunately, it would look like our Harrier was shot down, but we can activate these Patriots and get some heavy anti-aircraft fire into the air from the beginning. The Patriots are going to begin firing, and we do have the Marines here. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to, first off, pushing these Marine Raiders up into combat from the beginning here. And we are going to want to see if we can get into this urban environment in this first zone and put down some troops. Now our ally anti-air units move into position. We are once again going to want to grab a third Patriot.
Moving the next waypoint.
And what this third Patriot is going to do is going to be able to provide our teammate support on the other side of the map. We do not currently have supplies for these units, but we do want to make sure our teammates are having a good time, as it does look like we only have 2 Patriots. 3 is always better than 2. Moving forward, you can see an MV-22 Osprey here. We are going to unload into the area so that we can begin to capture this area. We're also going to deploy our first Patriot here. We have our LAV drop its supplies. We then return to the base. We do have some Marine Raiders here. That's why it's going to allow us to capture this zone and push forward into a forward area that is going to allow us to take up defensive positions here and force close combat. Notice how that building is currently wedged behind some hedges, so enemies will not be able to shoot into the building from a long distance. This is tactically significant because our Marine Raiders there are a close-range squad of soldiers that is meant to engage enemies at close quarters. And what that means is making sure that there are no straight sight lines from enemy long-range infantry to the close range infantry we expect to see here. We can also bring in a... what's it called? M160 Pivads, which is a long-range point defense system which is also capable of taking out enemy infantry. What the system is going to do is it is going to allow us to commence... It is going to allow us to take out enemy helicopters that oftentimes arrive in this zone, and also putting down support fire against infantry that our allied infantry squads are going to take over. This is going to allow us to take complete control of the battle zone here. What we're now going to do is we're going to bring in more Marines into this zone. It should be noted that an attack is currently en route to this position that we did not previously. We are currently running a very artillery-centric deck. And what that means is that it is important to keep our backline units intact and functional for the duration of the battle. That's highly unfortunate, and I most likely should not have let that happen, because that is going to significantly reduce our infantry support in the region. However, we can also see that there is an enemy drone up there, and so we should be bringing more support into our anti-air zone, as this is going to be a centerpiece of our current game and its tactics. It is imperative that we do not allow that hill to fall, as it is going to defend us from any all incoming attacks on this front. We can also deploy a Viper, because a Viper will be very useful taking out that tank while their anti-air unit is currently being moved away from the current situation. And we can see the badge, which is going to be able to provide significant support to our allied infantry, but should not be exposed to the enemy anti-tank unit currently in that building. We can, however, push on the raiders forward and force them into melee combat with the enemy long-range squadron. Now, the raiders are going to be very capable of doing so. We can also take our M160 Pipettes and move it forward to stop any incoming cruise missiles back from our Patriots. That would unfortunately look like the Raider squadron has been killed, and so is our Viper, as this is a very close combat zone, but we can also pass forward and allow Patrick's infantry to currently forward building. This did not work, as it would appear that we are currently being pushed back, and it would also appear that some of our Patriots have been taken. It would also appear that we are currently being shelled, so there's nothing we can do about that, but we will have to move away. But in the future, it would be good to stop this from happening in the first place, by simply preventing their artillery from getting close to us. We're going to move the Patriots slightly away from the position where they're being shelled, and instead move back a bit. Make sure not to move through the hill in the firing line.
Radar turned on. Looking for airplanes.
It is a very capable anti-air unit. It is going to make up the entirety of our anti-air battery. Now those Patriots have been destroyed and are vulnerable. However, a Prowler will also be able to keep enemy aerial units. We'll be able to suppress their anti-air, allowing our own aerial units to be able to go on air patrol, while our Patriots are forced to respawn, which will take approximately 1 to 2 minutes. In the meantime, I'm bringing a B-22 Osprey with a sniper squadron and some supplies for our team, and this will be able to help us out a lot. We'll also be able to put down allied artillery at key points, which will hopefully allow us to destroy the enemies currently remaining.
Artillery relocating. Cut the road. We unload here. DC in sight. Prepare to unload. At your command, we unleash hell, sir. Moving.
Unfortunately, it would appear that another Patriot battery has been destroyed. We're also going to be on our Prowler to get out of the zone, as it would appear that they have successfully managed to destroy an enemy anti-air. Prowler is a very capable unit and is very capable of doing a lot of wonderful things with enemy anti-air batteries. But it should be noted that the Prowler is not a frontline combat unit and does not have any weapons against enemy aircraft.
You won't find a faster lawnmower.
It would appear that we do need some more supplies for our artillery units currently here. So what we're going to do is we are going to bring in a B-22 Osprey filled with those supplies that we so desperately need and place it down here. So not only will our allies to use these supplies, as it is somewhat close to a main transport route, we'll also allow our artillery to restock out of the way of our allies. We can see that there are a number of helicopters deep within our enemy's territory. We can also see that there's an anti-air system there, and that it is radar guided. The Harrier will be able to take out these radar guided units since it does include the 4,000 range sidearm anti-radar missiles.
Delivery point received. Harrier, armed and ready. Strike coordinates received.
Now order the friendly Harrier to drop bombs onto enemy units, as this will be significantly beneficial. However, it would appear that the bomb may have close miss. Of course, it would not do damage because it is still intact. And that was the BMP Terminator, which it does appear was capable of attacking low-flying aircraft like the Harriers. We have, however, received another Patriot, and will soon receive a second, so we're going to be moving that Patriot into position here, so it can closely watch over this sector of the battlefield. In the meantime, we're going to move our allied B-22 Osprey forward into that, not blocking, because it is equipped with a GAU-17 gun that can use when fired on the enemy infantry squads we have been seeing a lot of recently. You're also going to be calling in a second artillery unit, because it's an artillery-centric death, and artillery, at least the American ballistic missiles, including the HIMARS and the ATACMS system, do act as the hand of God by smiting enemies. Unfortunately, it would also appear that our Osprey is coming down fire, and was unable to be effective, although it was able to put down GAU-17 fire, and it would appear that it has managed to slightly deter enemy infantry from coming back at this precise position. What we're going to have to do now is we are going to have to attempt to smite that hostile Terminator again.
Rocket artillery at your command, sir.
HIMARS is a highly effective unit, but should not be left in one place because it can still be counterbattered by hostile enemy players. Same applies to the M270 ATACMS, although whereas the HIMARS is an anti-infantry, anti-building, and anti-pretty much everything unit, the ATACMS is specifically meant to cover as large an area as possible to be good at destroying hostile enemy tanks. The ATACMS will now be forced back to its supplies, but seeing as we do now have a second HIMARS on the field, and can bring in a second ATACMS to the field as well, this is very good.
Rocket artillery at your command, sir.
The HIMARS can also attack lightly armed vehicles and what would appear to be resupply points for the enemy team.
Rocket artillery at your disposal.
The HIMARS would also appear to be slightly faster to restock than the ATACMS,
Ready, sir.
though they are both large vehicles.
Rocket artillery scanning by.
We can now engage our Patriot, which will be able to provide anti-air support on this area for a limited period of time.
MLRS reporting in.
However, they should not be left here forever, as they will eventually need a restock and cannot defend against some threats. It is mostly vulnerable towards helicopters, but is also vulnerable toward any low-flying, non-ballistic missiles which can break through its defenses, as it is only capable of targeting high-altitude targets.
Artillery at your orders, sir.
This would also appear to be the Patriots' main weakness, although it is by far and large the most effective weapon for dealing with hostile enemy high-altitude jet fighters and other combative aircraft, as it is simply a very, very effective unit in nearly all situations.
New course set. Coordinates received. Commencing attack. MLRS ready. Send fire mission. Relocating to the next emplacement. Get your asses out of my vehicle. Mission's over. Let's go back to base.
This new artillery strategy would appear to be quite effective. For any new viewers, this is a strategy that I'm only just trying out now,
Breaker 1-9.
and it would appear to be quite effective against any and all enemies, although this only applies to a good team which is capable of holding the line against hostile enemy units that may or may not be attacking around. We can see here, for example, that there are in fact hostile enemy units which are attempting to fight. This is generally considered to not be a good thing, so I am going to have to come in here and deal with these. Although I do have some jeeps which would appear to be a good fit, as they are equipped with grenade launchers, which allow them to have heavy firepower, while also maintaining high speed and high maneuverability. Another good way to deal with this problem would be, you guessed it, with an artillery unit. It appears that a HIMARS will attack them. So the attack them is currently the only useful thing we currently have that is fully available, and so as such that is what we will deploy to the action zone. However, we do require more supplies, and the strategy is very supply intensive. The ATACMS is mainly an anti-vehicle unit, but it can be used against any and all targets.
Target marked, direct fire.
Although it will be definitively the most effective against armored vehicles, including tanks, that are large and will take large amounts of damage from its shells, which will deploy over a rather large area.
Landscape designers at your command. Artillery on the move.
Now we can see that our allied frontline combatants, the jeeps, are moving forward. Are only going to be against infantry as they begin there. While they are lightly armored, they're still significantly more heavily armed and armored than our current allied forces in the region. What this means is that anytime we engage them, we are only going to deal minor damage. We're losing nearly all of our units and having to retreat. Not a good thing, and this will not allow us to have an effective overall strategy against any enemy units we may encounter.
Roger, moving to next waypoint. Proceeding to next base of
Are going to engage our HIMARS battery here, as it would appear to be ready to attack enemy units once again. We do notice that a lot of enemy units are clustered up in this area. What we are going to do is we are going to engage a heavy bombardment, and while it is very sad that our units were forced to reload, while optimal targeting was available, we do still have some targeting ability as our units have been almost fully reloaded. So we are now going to keep moving these units into the combat zone as they are now ready to fire. What I'm going to do is I'm once again going to attempt to bring a Prowler and a Viper to eliminate enemy anti-air. And we can see that HIMARS explosion, we just killed numerous squads of enemy infantry. And we do have allied rocket attacks who are currently commencing an attack on the sector. What the Prowler is going to do is it is going to come in and it's going to fly around. It is going to swipe a radar guided anti-air within 5,000 meters of its current position. can see that it did just take 2 shots, and it is going to destroy 1 unit. But it's a rather small unit, and I'm currently unsure of what it was. But it was an enemy unit that was taken out by the Allied batteries, and that is a very good thing, always. What we're actually going to do is, instead of sending the Osprey back to base, we're going to use it as a scout gunship over this current territory to allow it to begin attacking hostile enemy units. The Viper will also participate in this, although the Osprey does generally have a better weapon, as it is turreted on the bottom of the craft as opposed to the Viper, which is more useful against enemy vehicles. Both of these units are going to now attack a housing tower where it would appear that enemy troops have taken up residence, and an enemy rad artillery position, as that is hostile. It would also appear that there is a 4 MP there, which is hostile. A hostile anti-air unit, so it is not safe to bring in our allied helicopters. It would appear that there is also a hostile anti-air unit, that 4 M2. And while it would be prudent to tell our Viper to get down and put some space between it and the Tor, sometimes that isn't really possible at the current time. The Tor M2 would appear to have a long range, and the Viper is now going to return back to base to avoid being killed by the Tor. In the meantime, we're going to bring another supply Osprey out, and we're going to allow our allied HIMARS to attack this capture point in the hostile area, which would appear to contain hostile units. We are going to continue it out of our allied zone here.
Rocket artillery at your order, sir. Providing direct fire.
Now I can see that there is enemy artillery raining down on a zone close to our current position, so we are going to want to look out there.
Cargo helicopter approaching the DZ.
We now have an allied HIMARS vehicle reloading, and again yet another allied HIMARS vehicle is reloading.
Landscape designers at your command.
Now both of these units are going to wait to get into position before initiating a coordinated strike on enemy positions, and hopefully taking out their vehicles, although it would appear that not all munitions arrive, as some of them are most likely shot down by enemy anti-air. This is why it is good to fire in groups
Mission's over. We're out.
to prevent all missiles being shot down, as firing in groups more effectively allows for area saturation.
At your command.
However, both HIMARS are going to do, as both HIMARS are once again going to target the same location.
Engaging targets with direct fire.
They're going to be using large warheads that are going to completely devastate an area of enemy units. We're once again going to bring in more supplies for our allied units, as our allied attackers reload, and our HIMARS are also allowed to reload, having just fired off a large number of munitions that is going to completely devastate an area. Fortunately, it would appear that enemies are still in the zone, as they do not see any flames from destroyed vehicle wrecks that would normally confirm a kill, so we are once again going to bring our attackers into position, and we are going to have them bombard the area, just like the HIMARS. In the meantime, we can also see that there is an enemy air vehicle, an Mi-35M, which may or may not be hostile, and as such, we should most likely be bringing in an anti-aircraft unit, like the M160 Pravads, that is cheap and covers an area and can saturate the area with bullets.
Rocket artillery standing by.
And this is generally a very foolproof idea, as it is a rather cheap unit as well.
Rocket artillery at your disposal, sir.
The V-22 Osprey is also capable of air-to-air combat, although not very well, as it is mainly supposed to be a high-speed transport unit that is not supposed to engage in air-to-air combat. It does, however, still have a gun that we did spend extra points to mount on the Osprey, so it seems like a waste to not engage in air-to-air combat.
Osprey tilt rotor aircraft here.
zooming in on the Mi-35M, you can now see that the V-22 Osprey has in fact come under artillery fire, anti-air fire, from an enemy anti-air unit. We're going to the Osprey with behind cover, although unfortunately it was unable to do that. You're now going to select a HIMARS, and you're going to bombard the buildings where we currently do see enemy units. All 4 buildings will be submitted by the HIMARS, as it is an incredibly powerful unit. You're also going to begin a bombardment of hostile enemy forces hiding in the bushes, as it would appear that this is a somewhat wise decision. In our artillery fire, is now going to bring down all the surrounding zones, especially with those anti-vehicle mounted ATACMs, which are now going to completely utterly eliminate anything in the area. We do not want our teammates to come forward, so we are going to warn them that there was in fact allied fire being directed at that zone. We're now going to move some units away from that area. We're now going to have our artillery reload. We're going to put a Viper to help out with this attacking. We're also going to bring in a Harrier Plus and a Prowler. And the Prowler is hopefully going to be able to eliminate any anti-air that our Harrier will encounter on its way to this location. Any bomber of this location has to be aware of allied Harriers. Of allied units, so our Harrier is going to have to be careful that it does not harm an ally. You have to be aware of friendly fire here. That's why we are going to be back and specifically make sure not to hit the units. In the meantime, our Prowler has fired off with the radar missiles, and our Harrier has done so as well as dropping its bombs, so it is now going to return to base, just like our Prowler. It would appear that this attack is mostly effective, and most enemy units have been killed. We are also going to require even more supplies, as we are currently running low. Artillery operates on an entirely different spectrum of supplies, so it would be enough for a normal supply post, is not enough for an artillery squadron like the one we currently have.
Air defense ready for action.
We can see, however, that there was a Tor M2. Don't know where it was. We can see that there are also hostile infantry units over there. And so what we're going to do is we're going to bring our HIMARS right over to their firing position. We're going to bring our ATACMs right over to this firing position. And we're going to have them, and we're going to have them both commence a large attack on the enemy positions that we are currently witness to, including those currently mounted in buildings. We can see that there's also a drone which our Patriot was able to take out. We're going to have both our ATACMs in positions, and then our HIMARS are going to be the most effective tool to eliminate those zones where there are enemy soldiers. Note over here that our allies have taken that task and have done so very well. We are, however, still going to be able to put down some fire, as we still have munitions. What we're going to do is we're going to rapidly bomb every single site in that general location. And you're also going to take our MP-70 ATACMs and allow it to put down fire on hostile vehicles like the Terminator and that hostile tank we saw, which is mostly the AP-90, as that is the most common Russian tank you'll often see in many different games. Now we have all of our units have fired, and what they're going to do is they're going to move back to our base, and they will now begin the restock. In the meantime, the Vipers will move forward, and we can see that there is a Tor M2. So it would make sense to bring in a Prowler to deal with the Tor M2, which is currently a hostile unit that is also radar guided, and so the Prowler is going to be able to suppress that unit by preventing it from firing altogether. or by forcing it to turn off its anti-aircraft, reducing its long-range capabilities to nearly zero.
Heading there.
Now, unfortunately, it looks like the Tor M2 is capable of single-shotting a Viper, but that's okay because we do have allied units which are capable of hurting that area, including our Prowler, which did just release its munitions to suppress the enemy anti-aircraft. The Prowler is going to leave the zone. Then it would also appear that we did get a kill. Nope, that is a missile. I'm not sure what the current status of that whole zone is. However, we're going to bring in another Harrier, which will also be capable. And we're going to bring in a third Harrier, because one Harrier is not enough.
Back to home plate.
We're also going to ensure that our Prowler is currently heading back to base as we drop bombs with our current unit to hopefully eliminate those obstacles infantry, which we can currently see moving around between the buildings in the urban environment, which does make them very difficult to kill. We can also see that there's an S-300 B4 Antennae, which our Harrier 2 Plus is most likely going to be shooting at. Now this is a very difficult task for it. It would appear that the S-300 did not turn off their anti-aircraft, which did make their S-300 vulnerable to the Harrier. This resulted in it taking at least one hit we did see there, and the S-300 does not have countermeasures, so this is going to hit the S-300 a lot. We can, however, also bomb those hostile enemy units and return back to base. Although it would unfortunately look like our unit was killed, we did manage to hit what I do believe was a TOS-1. I was able to see a TOS-1 there. And then our attack comes, and Finewars are going to be moving into a firing position. And this will once again allow us to dish out the pain. We are going to be able to attack the TOS-1, which is a powerful enemy anti-air unit that should not be allowed to remain in existence peacefully.
Pedal to the metal.
And we can see that there is an enemy T-90A, which is an excellent and perfect target for the MT-70 attack guns. And what we're going to do is we're just going to tell it to begin raining absolute fire down on this T-90, which is mostly going to kill it. Now the cost of the supplies, we're going to put this in here, is only 3,000 supplies, also known as only 30 points, but a T-90 comes in at a cost of a minimum of 170 points. And what this means is that we are massively trading points here, and we're going to easily and completely win this fight without taking any losses, any aimable losses, because this is a very easy engagement that simply allows us to eliminate an enemy unit without having any competition whatsoever. It is the exact type of engagement we want, and it would appear that we have successfully devastated enemy forces so that our ally may now begin their attack. Our Patriot would unfortunately rip us out of munitions, but not before our supply unit can get their enemy stocking. Our MV-22 Osprey is now going to be delivering supplies to our supply facility, and our LAVL is going to now back out of the zone while the Patriot restocks from its new supply cage. MV-22 is going to drop supplies on that very low supply base there, right before it expired. And I'd like to do the second V-22 with more supplies, because not having supplies is always a bad thing. And this V-22 is now going to go back to base. We can, however, see that there is an enemy helicopter there, and we do not want that. That is a hostile unit, which may or may not be hunting down our current artillery positions.
Roger, we're Oscar Mike.
And that is very deadly. And so what we're going to do is we're going to come into our infantry tab, and we're going to acquire anti-air infantry, which we can station in the surrounding facilities surrounding our current position. We are going to have to bring them in an Osprey, but Ospreys are the current theory behind our deck, which is to say that Ospreys are very effective. In the meantime, our artillery, which is now been fully reloaded, so some incredibly ballistic missiles are going to be moving into position once once again and beginning to rain fire on our enemies. A V-22 Osprey is currently bringing in allied forces, while the Mi-8 AMTSH, if you look here, would appear to have missiles. We can visually see what they're equipped with, and it would appear that they're equipped with rockets and anti-aircraft missiles or anti-V-22 Osprey missiles, because it is not wise to bring in a V-22 Osprey against them. The Bavads will also suffer here because those rockets are going to be devastating. What we're going to do is we're going to keep the Bavads in a forest. We're then going to move the V-22 Osprey out of the zone as our anti-aircraft units take up tactical positions in these buildings which have very good sight and can watch over our allied forces. We are going to put them in the zones which, while they would normally be quite vulnerable here, we do realize that the most likely opponent is a helicopter, and so it is generally worth the risk. So what we're going to do now is we are now going to begin a bombardment against the enemy team here, and any hostile vehicles they may have, and we're going to attempt to locate and time where they are, so that when our projectiles launch, enemy units which are currently moving at a high rate of speed, and like, we may or may not hit these attacks, and either way is fine. But it would definitely be better to hit these units that are currently moving through here, as that would be highly advantageous to stop those from getting through and hurting our allied units. We also do, however, have to realize that there is a grad here, and that grad is most likely eyeing up our artillery positions. And we are going to want to move something in because we can see that we are currently being encroached on by enemy units. So we're going to bring in a squad of Marines. Marines are an elite infantry force that is going to be very, very capable of taking out anything that could possibly fit in our current position. We're also going to have to be careful of enemy anti-aircraft, and so we're going to lead the way with a prowler, so that any infantry that is active, any anti-air that is active, is going to be absolutely killed. Now, unfortunately, it would have been the infantry do not have radar-guided munitions, but the prowler was able to successfully deploy, although it was shot down mid-mission. It was rather comedic climate. Even I.
Stinger team ready. Stinger team standing by.
Now we do have a lot of anti-air units here. These are going to be very, very helpful for taking out helicopters which may attempt to come around the edge. We can see that they would appear to currently be building up forces. And this is going to be rather a bad thing, because if we attack in a group, then our Privads will not be able to help us, and it will most likely be killed. Our rockets, however, our man pads, those are going to be capable of helping. They are going to form the brunt of our anti-air units here, as we can currently see. Now, one thing to note is that by hitting Control 1 or Control 2, we can fully select any group of units without having to move our mouse over them. We also have V-22 Ospreys here, which will act as scouting gunships, while our Marines go in and do a lot of the work. And as I said, the Marines are a very capable unit that does not need help with anything, and they even have anti-vehicle weapons, as well as having a very high level of durability, which is one of the things that makes them special. One thing we're going to begin is bombarding this zone, so that our allied forces they have an easier time taking the area from enemies. We can do the same with our ATACMs against enemy vehicles. You can see a Terminator moving in here, and it is going to destroy our Patriot, which is highly unfortunate. You can also see hostile enemy artillery position, which we're now going to strike with the ATACMs, and we're not going to allow that to get us down. We are, however, going to begin attacking this Mecha Squadron, which is a hostile anti-vehicle squadron, which may or may not pose a threat. And the best way to deal with a Terminator is with a heavy tank, like, for example, an M1A172, because this does have a trophy defense system, which will allow it to get rid of the Terminator's rockets and defend itself. You can oversee that there is a hostile squadron of infantry moving in, and so what we're going to do is we are going to deploy a standard squadron or 2 groups of Marines in a V-22 Osprey, which will now allow us to actively fight against those forces and hopefully not die so violently. It would, however, be good to know that we are still vulnerable on this road here. So it is a way for that grenade to get to us, and we're going to put an anti-material rifle there, as it will allow us to have a warning of if we come under attack by that Terminator. In the meantime, we're going to once again require even more supplies from the V-22 Osprey. The V-22 Osprey is our lifeblood here. It is going to keep us alive. Sorry, I do have a sore throat today. I'm still recovering from illness. But as the attack comes is reloaded, we are once again going to require more supplies, which will be brought in via the V-22 Osprey. While those attack comes are currently busy reloading. It would appear that unfortunately there are some hostile enemy positions which are currently moving forward, but we are once again going to be able to hit those with our heavy HIMARS artillery. So HIMARS artillery is going to make them play for sitting in the same spot and forming defensive lines, as it is going to be very, very capable of killing them. Meantime, we're going to move our 782 trophy forward. And we're now going to move up our snipers in these buildings here. This is going to allow us to do some very nice things here, like bringing another Patriot battery into the same supply zone that we currently have. But we're first to abandon. You're also going to bring in another Prowler here, which will hopefully shut down any hostile anti-aircraft that currently is on local forces. Another thing we can do is completely battle this zone with the attack guns, because it is a very powerful unit. The is a menace to anything and everything that is within its range. And so it is going to be very, very capable of killing any enemy vehicles that are currently within friendly territory. And it would appear that I did accidentally strike a friendly unit there, which is highly unfortunate. And I did not need to do that. I would like to apologize. And we are going to take our HIMARS back into position. And we are once again going to have it engage hostile enemy forces. We're also going to bring in a Harrier to deal with this enemy Mi-35M helicopter that is currently hostile to us. Unfortunately, it would appear that they are outside the range of our anti-material rifles, but our Harrier is going to come in and it is going to attack the Mi-35M. And our Humvee DMV is also going to move forward because it is equipped with a Gatling gun that does pose a threat to the Mi-35M, assuming that it is not instantly killed by the rockets of the Mi-35M. Like I said, those rockets are going to be very powerful, but the Harrier does have sidewinders and is going to be capable of dealing with the helicopter. But the Harrier does have to evacuate the zone immediately, because there is a large amount of enemy forces that are currently moving into the area. It would also appear that enemy forces are unfortunately capturing our final zone right before the end of the game. This is highly unfortunate. So what we're going to do is we're going to completely level the entire zone with HIMARS, with these batteries, and then we're going to call in a Global Hawk, with a squadron of Marine Raiders. We are going to attempt to retake that zone one time. We may or may not have enough time to do this, but it is worth a shot. I see no reason why we should not do this. So we are going to try. With our artillery completely launching from Allied fire bases, we have nothing left to give, so our Allied KC-130 is not arriving in time, and we did